Barakata Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rucha Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is The Most High's Great American Cookout. And this was a title that Elder Apostle Tar mentioned in the last video he did, I believe it was. And he was cracking up. I was cracking up. I mean, he said The Most High's Cookout because it does sound funny as hell. You know, and I just embellished a little bit on it and just put a little spin on it. The Most High's Great American Cookout. And that's pretty much exactly what's going to happen. Because when you go back to our law, you know, when you committed a trespass, any of us committed a trespass against the Most High Yahweh, before Yahushua came on the scene to sacrifice himself and shed his blood, we had to sacrifice the blood of animals. And that was done for an atonement, you know, for expiation or for the removal of sin. You know, and shalom to you, sincere brothers and sisters out there of the elect. You know, we say hopeful elect because we hope that we're the elect, but the elect are the elect. So a sincere shalom to you, sincere Akim and Akwath out there. So, you know, that was the way to remove sins away from us, was by the sacrifice of animals, depending on what it was, whether it was a dove or whether it was a ram or whether it was a sheep, ox, whatever the case was, you know, depending on the severity of the crime, so to speak, or depending on the sacrifice that the Most High required. And there were instances where there was no sacrifice. The person had to be the sacrifice. And we're coming into a time where, you know, there never was, but there never was before, but there won't be now or in the future any sacrifice that America can give, you know, to pay back. Just going back to 1492 until the present, the way that they've treated the people of the Most High, the Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. And ultimately what's going to happen is that America and the people within it are going to be that sacrifice. You're going to have, you know, because in sacrifices you needed wood, you needed fire, you needed a killing instrument, you know, you needed an altar, so on and so forth. So the altar, as you hear Elder Apostle Tara speak about it, is America itself as a whole. That's the big altar. The killing instrument of the knife to shed the blood of the particular animals are those missiles. Also the lasers from the chariots, but dealing with the missiles, you know, they're shaped like a knife or a spear. You know, then you have, you know, the altar, which is America, and the people are going to be the sacrifice that's going to be burnt up to the Lord for an expiation or a cleansing of this place, America, because there's no other way to cleanse it. When we go to the book of, before we get started, when we go to the book of Numbers, the 15th chapter. No, I'm sorry, not 15th chapter. I don't know why I went to 15. Numbers 33 and 35. Or is it 35, 33? It's 35, 33. Okay, let's go back. Let's type in 35. It's 35, 33. Right? It says, "So you shall not pollute the land wherein you are, for blood it defileth the land. And the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it." So pretty much we know that the people that committed these heinous acts are long dead and gone, right? But the ones that are here now, which are their children to many generations, really are the same ones that are brought back to receive this punishment or this judgment. Let's go real quick to the book of Isaiah 14, basic fundamental building block scripture. And the 21st verse, prepare slaughter, boom, for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land nor fill the face of the world with cities. So there's a preparation being made. And when you did a sacrifice to the Lord, you had to prepare it. There was a certain way you had to slaughter the animal. You had to shed the blood. You had to, strip it, and depending on the type of sacrifice it was, you had to, offer the blood of the animal. Then, you make, there's many different ways, then you would burn the sacrifice. So you needed fire. The fire, the killing instrument is the knife is the missiles, but also the fire that comes with it to burn up the sacrifice. So there was a preparation. So America is being prepared right now for the slaughter. And how are they being prepared? Well, they're being told that the Lord is going to destroy them because of the wickedness that they've done. So there's going to be a great conflagration, which is a fancy way of saying a big fire, a great fire that's going to engulf the whole of America, all 5,000 square miles, from east coast to west coast and from north to south, or south to north, or however you want to say it. So the word for prepare is kawan. It says to be firm, be stable, be established. Right. So when you're establishing something, you're preparing it. To be set up, be established, be fixed. Let's see what else we can get. To prepare, be ready. Be arranged. So what's happening? The word of the Lord is moving throughout the world, but also throughout America, Babylon the Great, and sealing the ones that are part of the elect and also the ones that are not a part of the elect. The ones that are part of the elect are receiving the blood of the Lamb, which is Yahweh Shai, on the doorposts, on their doorposts, which represent their mind right now. And the rest don't have the blood upon them, but they have the testimony or the witness of the word against them. And because they don't repent, they will be destroyed. That's dealing with the Israelites that are on the soils of America. Now, the other nations, they're just receiving their judgment, period. So they're being sealed also by the message that's being taught for them to know that the judgment is coming. Now, some of these nations that are foreign to America are going to be leaving, going back to their countries as per scriptures, But a lot of them are going to die here because, they're greedy. They're greedy for money, because that really, the God of the religions of all these different nations is money. It's not Buddha or sweet Jesus or the Hindu gods or, no, it's none of that. It's not Allah. It's money. Ultimately, it's money. That's why Yahweh Shai said, the Lord know you have need of these things, for the nations seek after those things, because their God is money. So like it for a minute. All right, so now that we got that out of the way, let's go to the word slaughter, because they're being prepared for a great slaughter. Prepare slaughter. Here we got slaughter. The word there is matabach, which is a compound word. Slaughter place. Slaughter, right. So it's a slaughter, but there has to be a place set up for this slaughter. And that place is an altar, which is America. So is ma at the beginning of a word, if it's not connected, is of or from. Tabach here is to slaughter, slay, butcher, kill ruthlessly. God damn. Kill ruthlessly. And this is what the Lord is going to do, to them. There's not going to be any mercy. They shall have judgment without mercy that show no mercy. And this place is going to go out violently. So there has to be a slaughtering place. And that slaughtering place is America, which is done upon what? Upon an altar. And this is what the altar, the fire is going to look like once it starts burning. Also, you have trees, flowers, grass, and all of that. And those trees also can be set up as an offering, like incense and all of that. Well, those trees that are in America are going to be also a part of that great conflagration. So the place, the slaughter place, is the altar. Now I looked up the word altar. Hebrew mazabach is really mazabach, bach, from a word meaning to slay. Now, before we read any more, the first time this word appears in the scriptures, I didn't get a chance to read this other precept that I had, but that's all right. Lord's will, we get a chance to get to it. Genesis 31:54. Then Jacob offered sacrifice upon the mount and called his brethren to eat bread, and they ate, and they did eat bread and tarried all night in the mount. Now, when you break the word sacrifice down, it's a compound word. Sacri is to make sacred or to make holy, and fice is to do or to make. So the word sacrifice literally means to make sacred or to make holy. All right. When you go to the word sacrifice itself in the Wikipedia, you could go to the etymon line. Sacrifice is the offering of material possessions or the lives of animals or humans to a deity as an act of propitiation or worship. Right, because you had free will offerings, peace offerings, but you also had offerings of blood for the remission of sins. Evidence of ritual sacrifice has been seen at least since ancient Hebrews and Greeks, and possibly existed before that. It did exist before that. Evidence of ritual human sacrifice can also be found back to at least pre-Columbian civilization of Mesoamerica, as well as in European civilizations. Varieties of ritual and non-human sacrifices are practiced by numerous religions today. And if we get a chance, we can get to the rest of this. But going here to the word sacrifice itself, Genesis 31:54, then Jacob offered sacrifice upon the mount and called his brethren to eat bread. And they did eat bread and tarried all night in the mount. Right? So now when we go to the word sacrifice, you have the word zabach, which that's what the word means. Zabach. That's sacrifice. So you have individual by the name of elder priest Zabach. Well, this is what his name means. It means sacrifice. Now, with the sacrifice, you need a place to sacrifice. And that place to sacrifice is called an altar. Now, in the book of Genesis 8:20 is the first time the word altar appears in the scriptures. It says, and Noah builded what? An altar unto Yahweh, and took of every clean beast and of every clean fowl, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. That's why he took so many clean animals on the ark by sevens, a male and a female. So that was 14. But of the unclean animals, he only took 2 because they were not supposed to be eaten or sacrificed. All right. So when we look up this word altar, the word for altar is the word mazabach, which is a compound word. Ma is of or from, zabach is altar, sacrifice. So an altar is a place where you sacrifice. This is why here, where you have the word prepare slaughter for his children, the word slaughter is the word matabach, which is different from zabach or mazabach, which is the place of slaughtering, which is what? An altar. And what is that altar? The altar is America, the whole of America. And with the altar, you need flesh on that altar. It gives you, it gives you the particulars on how to set up for sacrifice, on the altar, things of that nature. Let's see. Right. It says the first altars we read of is that erected by Noah, Genesis 8:20. Yep. Altars were erected by Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and by Moses, Yahweh Nissi, or Yahweh's banner, I believe this means. In the tabernacle and afterwards in the temple, 2 altars were erected. And it goes on and on and on. So you had to have a place where you would sacrifice the animal. So you had to shed the blood, you had to have a place for the slaughter, and you had to have fire to burn the sacrifice. And that would, that would appease the wrath of the Most High. Now, when we read the book of Numbers 25, I believe it is, when Jake was dealing with them Midianite women and they were having sex to the name of their God, and Phinehas came and drove the spear from the back of the dude into the stomach of the woman and killed them both. What did it say? It said that the wrath of the Lord was appeased. So the sacrifice of the animals and the shedding of the blood would appease the anger of the Lord. And also there were times when humans would appease the anger of the Lord. And like in the case of Phinehas. Now here in this same sacrifice on Wikipedia, when we go to human sacrifice, it says human sacrifice was practiced by many ancient cultures. People who would be ritually killed in a manner that was supposed to please or appease a god or spirit. And it did please the Most High when they were sacrificed. But in the case of going back to these different heathen nations, they were sacrificing it to heathens. When you go back even to Israelites, they were following the customs of the nations. They were sacrificing it to heathen gods, false gods, not to the Most High. But there were certain cases where individuals that were sacrificed, where the sacrifice was pleasing to the Lord. And I use an example with Phinehas. All right. So America is going to be that great altar, the Most High's great American altar or cookout, where he is going to burn the sacrifice of these people. There's going to be animals here that's going to be burnt up too, to appease the anger of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. All right. So there was a precept that had came to mind. Let's see if it comes back. So we dealt with that, the altar, we dealt with the sacrifice, humans. So you know what? Let's go back and read this again. Matter of fact. Let's read this again. Numbers 35:33. So you shall not pollute the land wherein you are, for blood hath defiled the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. And this is why they're being prepared for this slaughter. So when we go to Isaiah 26 and 21, it says, for behold, the Lord cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. You see? So that's what's happening right now. They're being introduced to the great slaughter that's coming. The great American cookout of the Most High. And the people are going to be the meat that's going to be sizzling, on this altar. And the fire from the missiles and the lasers is what's going to be, the agent to burn them, or the fire to burn them, to totally annihilate this place and totally cleanse it. All right. It says the earth also shall what? Disclose her blood, and shall no more cover her slain. Because there's a lot. See, what we know as far as the slave trade, the deaths of the slaves, the lynchings, the colonization of the whole of the Americas, from Canada all the way down to South America, the deaths, the rapes, the robberies, the murders, everything that took place here, we only have an estimation as to how many of our forefathers were slain. We don't have the whole enchilada, so to speak. You know? So whatever is in the dark that has not been revealed, remember, the spirits are in the heavens complaining to the Father of these things, because that's the first thing they do when someone is murdered or someone dies. They go right before the altar of the Lord. How do you think the Most High? I mean, the Lord already knew, but when Cain killed Abel, the Lord already knew that Cain had killed Abel, and then Abel went right before the throne of the Lord, said, "Yep, my brother did this." You know, see that mother effer right there? He did this, you know? And so everyone that goes before the altar of the Lord, they have to, deal with the judgment that's coming to them. So when we look up this word disclose, meaning it's not going to cover up anymore, because these devils are not going to, what's the word I'm looking for? They're not going to make themselves pay for the evils that they've done. Therefore, since they're not going to do it, the Lord's going to do it for them. Hebrews 1:4. Therefore the law is slacked, and judgment doth never go forth. For the wicked doth compass about the righteous, therefore wrong judgment proceedeth. So they'll never give Jake, the Israelites, a fair shake, because they're in power, they're in control, and they're not going to allow, their kind to be sacrificed, so to speak, no matter even if they was wrong. They're not going to allow, or they're not going to make themselves pay, because they're in the power seat. So the Lord said, Nahum 1:3, the Lord is slow to anger and great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked. Meaning he's not going to give them clemency. He's not going to give them a pardon. They can't repent to sweet Jesus, and all of a sudden, all of that wickedness that they did just goes out the door and, goes away. Nah, it doesn't work like that. You put your hands on the people of the Lord, you touch the apple of the Lord's eye, and the Lord is going to get you. He's going to have you sizzling like human weenies on an open fire in the Most High's great American cookout. just building off of Elder Pastor's energy, that he had yesterday when he mentioned that. All right. It says, the Lord hath his way in the whirlwind and in the storm. You see what happened out there in San Fran and other places. And the clouds are the dust of his feet. So if the clouds are the dust of his feet, you see how big them clouds are, man. Anyhow, let's go from there. So we got that. The word disclose, right, is the word galah, which means to uncover, remove, right? So in other words, to uncover oneself, to discover or show oneself. So, to reveal himself of the Most High, right? Because it's going to be discovered. See? It's not going to be covered up anymore. And how is that being done right now? By the prophets of the Lord. We're out there telling them that they, committed infractions, which is, fancy way of saying transgression, and he did it to the people of the Most High, and guess what? Now you got to pay. And that's where we're at right now. So moving into Isaiah 34:1, the reason why the Most High is gathering the nations is because of what they've done to Israel. You got to remember, see, right now, the person that's in power is Esau, the so-called white man. But not all so-called white-looking people are Edomites. It's just the ones that go back to the Edomites. All right? And they've all had a hand in putting us into captivity and afflicting us, oppressing us. in one way or another. So they are all going to receive judgment for it. But it just so happens that the Edomites are in power right now, and they've been the ones that had the greatest infraction, the greatest crime ever committed against the nation of Israel has been done by these Edomites. And that's why Yahushua is coming back to get them. The angels are coming back. Yahweh sending them, Yahushua and the angels, to come do business, to deliver his elect, and to destroy the Edomites, the nations, and the unbelievers. And the whole of America is going to be set ablaze in this great cookout. It says, come near, ye nations, to hear, and hearken, ye people. Let the earth hear, and all that is therein. So in this case, vocab is right. This is addressed to all of the nations, every single one of them. All right, the actual Gentiles and heathens. The world. This is the whole world. And all things that come forth of it. So listen up to this message. For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies. So the Lord is coming to do battle, coming to do judgment, coming to bring the ruckus upon you devils. All right? He hath utterly destroyed them. He hath delivered them to the what? Slaughter. And that should be the same word. Yep, tabach. Matabach and tabach. Tabach is slaughter. Matabach is the place of slaughter. Their slain also shall be cast out, and their stink shall come up out of their carcasses, and the mountains shall be what? Melted with their blood. Why? Because the Lord is going to shed the blood of these nations. And they're all here in America. It's not a coincidence that every nation is here. It's not a coincidence that America is called the great melting pot. It says that all the hosts of heaven shall be dissolved, because all of these planes and jets and all that's going to be in the air are going to be dissolved. They're going to be torn apart. It says because of the missiles and because of the lasers that Yahushua and the angels are coming to bring. And the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, because this is talking about what Esau calls a mushroom cloud, which I don't think I have a picture of here. Oh, there we go. This is somewhat a mushroom cloud. It's not fully mushroomed, but as you can see up here, this is what it said: the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll. If you see these are rolls. And when you look at an actual scroll, this is how you roll a scroll together. So Isaiah used the analogy of a scroll being rolled together, to describe this great future event that he saw. The Apostle John did the same thing on the island of Patmos. So it says, and all their hosts shall fall down. And this is what it means in Revelation, the 12th chapter. I saw Satan and his angels fight, and their place was found no more in heaven, because their militaries is their might. And that's their angels. And they're going to be slaughtered, totally slaughtered by Yahushua and the angels. And they're going to be no more. They ain't going to be flying up into the heavens after this. There ain't going to be no getting back. There ain't going to be no revolt. No battlefield earth where the Edomites revolt against Jake and then get back into power and set up their whole kingdom all over again. Oh, Lord, no, it's not going to go down that way. Because this devil is going to be put down. And this is why the Lord said that when they get put down, because I'm that inside joke, they ain't coming back up no more. There ain't going to be no remnants left. There ain't going to be no sons, no nephews, no uncles, no fathers, no grandfathers, none of that. Because they're going to be totally annihilated in that Obadiah 118 fire. The great conflagration of the Most High. Let me see Salak, I know you brothers are putting up some banging scriptures, but I'm just going to read this one. Wow. Damn. You know what? I must be allowed to read. Psalm 7:11, the Most High judge of the righteous, and the Most High is angry with the wicked every day. If he turn not, he will whet his sword, meaning sharpen it, He hath bent his bow and made it ready. Right, that's dealing with those missiles. It says, he hath also prepared for him the instruments of death, right, which are the missiles. He ordaineth his arrows against the persecutors. And that right there, my friends, that is the killing instrument or the knife that the Lord is going to use, their sword, their own sword, he's going to use to set this place ablaze. All right, brother, elder from North Carolina, Hawad, Jeremiah 10:10 from the GNT. But you, Lord, are the true power. You are the living power and the eternal King. When you are angry, the world trembles. The nations cannot endure your anger. That's right. That's right. All right. So let's get back here. Isaiah 34:4, and all the hosts of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, and all their hosts shall fall down, meaning all of the armies of Esau are going to fall, because the heavens and the clouds and all that, they're not going to be destroyed. The sun, the moon, the star, that's not going to be destroyed. The host is talking about Esau's armies. That's why in the first verse, actually the second verse, it says that the Lord's fury is upon his army. These are the hosts, the armies. As the leaf falleth off, that's where the Lord is known as what? The Lord of hosts, or the Lord of the armies, Yahweh Tazabawath. As the leaf falleth off from the vine, and as a falling fig from the fig tree, right? You've heard Elder Apostle Tar explain that, how when a fig falls, it falls in an arcing fashion. And that's what a missile looks like when it's falling. Because remember, the main part of the missile that's going to do the most devastation is the warhead. And the warhead is not that big, but that has the most impactful power of the whole missile, besides the propelling system to bring it over to this side of the world. ICBM, intercontinental ballistic missiles. It says, for my sword, what's the Lord's sword? The missiles shall be bathed in heaven, right? And that's also dealing with the lasers. Behold, from the chariots, behold, it shall come down what? Upon Idumea, which the word Idumea is a Greek word of saying Edom, which goes back to the Hebrew Adawam, which means red. And they are the red people. That's why it says the great red dragon. That's why it says the dragon fought and his angels, something along those lines, and their place was found no more in heaven. That's what it's talking about. And upon the people of my curse to judgment. So they are the people of the Lord's curse. This is why you have individuals like Vocab and others that are trying to negate and say that the Edomites are already destroyed, when the scriptures say different. Because they know that they are the Edomites. Oh, they know this. They know that they're the Edomites. They know that their judgment is coming. They know that the Edomites have not been done away with. But as in the past, they were able to pull the wool over Jake's eyes. Now they can still pull it over certain ones of them, but you ain't going to be able to pull it over the elect. Because the elect have that ingredient of the Most High, that oil that allows them to see through the darkness, through the veil. They have the see-through glasses, in the movie They Live. They can see right through your bullshit. So you're not going to so everything that you're doing is really in vain. Although you think you're gaining ground, it's all in vain. Because you're only going to get the ones the Lord don't want. So that's the Lord, people of the Lord's curse to judgment. The sword of the Lord is filled with blood, right? Because these missiles are going to be filled with blood. Because they're going to, open up, these people. There's going to be blood and guts and, and gore and everything when that day comes. That great fire is going to sizzle. You're going to hear the human weenies popping and sizzling and oozing on an open fire, or the most, when the Most High brings that great American cookout, on their ass. They're going to be sizzling in the heat, You know how you hear the crackling of the weenies, them gut busters. Inside joke. When you hear the sizzling of the weenies, That's how these people are going to be sizzling. You know, the sizzle of the human weenie in America. You're going to have hamburgers on the grill. You're going to have, shish kebabs. You're going to have all types, sizzling and oozing and bubbling, But the only thing is that you ain't going to be able to eat them. I mean, I'm being joking, because they're going to be totally evaporated. Cause now that's a fire, my man, what was that, Eddie Murphy? He burnt up everything. It ain't gonna be nothing to be brought to the table, cause even the altar itself is gonna be burnt up. All that's gonna be left is nothing but a plain, which is a flat land. So it says it is made fat with fatness, right? Because that's how the Lord, wanted it. You cut open the sacrifice, do what you had to do. And then eventually offer it up to the Lord on an open fire. And this altar is America, with the blood of lambs and goats, with the fat of the kidneys of rams. For the Lord hath a sacrifice in Basra, and a great slaughter in the land of Idumea. And I'm pretty sure both of these words, sacrifice, Zabak, yep, and slaughter, tabach. But here it says what? Great slaughter. So Gadawal tabach. The word tabach is slaughter. Matabach is the place of slaughtering, which would be the altar, which would be America. All right. So this is going to be a great slaughter, a great cookout. It says, and the unicorn shall come down with them. You got your satellites up there. All that shit's... Look, Esau's whole system... See, they're talking about a reset. There's going to be a real reset. That's why the Apostle Peter said, and we, according to his promise, wait for new heavens and a new earth wherein dwelleth righteousness. In the new heaven and the new earth, all of Esau's technology is going to be gone. It's going to be brought to nothing. His weapons, his cameras and all that, satellites, all of that's going to be gone. And whatever is left on around the world, when we, Lord's will we be the elect, come back down, we're going to go around and with spiritual power burn all that shit down. All whatever is left is going to be burnt with spiritual power, fire. And then, in the midst of all that, we're going to be going around the world wherever these, shelters or underground shelters are, kicking down doors, ripping open doors, and carting those so-called banking elites, the so-called kings of this earth, right into slavery. Because they're going to be the first ones to taste of that hardcore slavery. So all of this shit that they're doing is just compounding more and more interest on them for all the wickedness that they've done. But before that, there has to be a great slaughter, a great sacrifice. And the bullocks with the bulls and their land shall... The bullocks with the bulls, this is all dealing with peoples. You're going to have also animals here. You got deer, you got, bears, whatever you got out there in America. Birds, creeping things, worm, everything is there's gonna be no life here. And after the smoke clears, so to speak, then it will be inhabited by desert creatures. It says, and their land shall be soaked with blood. What blood? The blood of these people. And their dust made fat with fatness. That's right. It says, for it is a day of the Lord's vengeance. See? And the year of recompenses for the what? The controversy of Zion. And that's why when we go to, what is that? Is that Revelation 9 or Revelation 6? I think it's Revelation 6. Just bear with me 1 second. maybe it was 9. Yeah, that was it. Not bad. Revelation 9:13. And the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar, which is before the Most High, saying to the sixth angel which had the trumpet, loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. Right, because once that gets loosed, it's over. And the 4 angels were loose, which were what? Which were prepared for an hour, and a day, and a month, and a year, for to slay the third part of men. That's right. And the third part of men is a representation of the sons of the wicked, the Edomites. So that's going to be the great great sacrifice, or there's another word for it, that's going to be put up on the altar. There's a word for it, but I can't think of it now. All right, so let's see where we at. So it says, for this is the day of the Lord's vengeance, and the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion. And the streams thereof shall be turned into pitch, and the dust thereof into brimstone, and the land thereof shall become burning pitch. Right, because it's going to burn for a long time. And it shall not be quenched day nor night. The smoke thereof shall go up forever, meaning for a long time. From generation to generation it shall lie waste. None shall pass through it forever and ever. Right, because generation after generation, when the kingdom of heaven is established, this place is never going to ever be inhabited ever again, except but by wild beasts and wild birds. It says, but the cormorant and the bittern shall possess it, the owl also shall, and the raven shall dwell in it, and he shall stretch out upon it the line of confusion and the stones of emptiness, which represents the borders. You're not going to know where one state ended or the other one started. You're not going to know where different governmental buildings were, different monumental buildings were. No, it's going to be nothing but confusion. And it's poetic justice that Babylon, which means confusion from the word Babel or Babal, is going to be left in confusion. The line of confusion and stones of emptiness. They shall call the nobles thereof to the kingdom, but none shall be there, right? Because in all these different buildings, there will be no building there. There will be nothing there. So there will be no nobles to call. And all her princes shall be nothing, right? Because they're going to be burnt up to a crisp. And the thorns shall come up in her palaces, nettles and brambles in the fortresses thereof, right? In other words, where these places were at is going to be nothing but shrubbery, if even that grows. Because if there's going to be unclean beasts here, they're going to have to eat something, It says, and it shall be an habitation of dragons and a court for owls. The wild beasts of the desert shall also meet with the wild beasts of the island, and the satyr shall cry to his fellow. The screech owl also shall rest there and find for herself a place of rest. So it's going to just be nothing but a wilderness, straight up wilderness for all these creatures. There shall the great owl make her nest and lay and hatch, and gather under her shadow. There shall the vulture also be gathered, every one with her mate. Seek ye. So that's pretty much it, Then it says, seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read. No one of these shall fail, because none of the prophecies in this book are going to fail. None shall want her mate. You can't mate the Bible with no other book. For my mouth hath commanded, and the Spirit it hath gathered them. Right, because the Lord commanded it, put the Spirit on his men, the prophets, to teach it. And his Spirit it hath gathered them. Right, because the Lord is going to make it all go down. All right, and I'll leave you with this here. Started at Revelation 18:7. How much he hath glorified himself, America, and lived deliciously, Babylon the Great. So much torment and sorrow give her, for she saith in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. So they don't think they're ever going down. That's why the scriptures say, come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. It says, therefore shall her plagues come in one day. See, we keep speaking about that 1 year, that 1 day, that 1 hour. Death and mourning and famine. Right. That's that great conflagration. And she shall be utterly burned with fire. We just read about it in the book of Isaiah 34. For strong is the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yashai who judgeth her. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her, that's the other nations, their leaders, shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. See? That great conflagration, the altar of America, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. You know? So this has been the Most High's great American sacrifice. I pray that you brothers and sisters have been edified. Till the next time I say, Shalom.